Hi guys, made some progress recently. Figured I'd show you. I've sanded and polyurethaned this kitchen counter, and I did this piece as well. It's got about 2 coats of polyurethane on it. I'm gonna do 1 or 2 more, and I made this door. The hole saw ripped this piece of wood out, so I just taped it on loosely, and I put some wood glue on there and glue it back. It works pretty well. One thing that's unfortunate is I had to use different color screws because the screws are too short or too long, and these ones actually almost go through. They're only a 1/4 inch, but the wood's only 3/8, so that's the way it should be. I'll probably replace them with some silver ones at some point. And what also I did, I just used a hole saw to cut this hole, which works perfectly as a handle, instead of having handles everywhere that I might bump into and knock over and pull right off. And then for the latch, I bought this little sort of like a pressure unit. I don't know what you call this. At Home Depot is like $1.45, and that just uses this little pointy part, goes into where the rollers are. It works perfectly. Not going to pop open. And the hinges are kind of gimped up because I guess most carpenters, when they make a cabinet or drawer unit or whatever, they'll match the door up on the bottom. But seeing as I'm not that great of a carpenter, obviously, I wanted it to look good when it was closed. I don't really care what it looks like when it's open so much. So which means I needed to have the hinges flush with the piece there, so I just had to cut some parts out and screw them in. So that's the way she goes. And I'm going to do the bottom one here too. This one is, I got the door for it, but I haven't put it on yet. Right now I've got, well, what day is it today? June 22nd, and I'm moving out into the van July 3rd. And I still got a lot of other stuff to do, so what I'm trying to do is get all the stuff that requires sanding or sawdust via wood cutting done now, so that when the bed's in, I'm not going to have to make a bunch of sawdust and sanding and stuff, which will cause my bed to get filthy. So things like the door and stuff is going to have to wait, because I can do that once I'm in the van. Another thing I've done, at the suggestion of a couple of YouTubers, Daydrifter and another fellow, can't remember his name, but I'm going to make doors that slide. So I put this rail on the bottom. It's kind of like an aluminum L bracket thingy. And I'm just going to put 2 pieces of wood in here, 1/4 inch, and they're just going to slide past one another. And that way I won't have to lift the doors up or out, and I'll stay out of my way. So I'm going to put another piece up here of aluminum up the top, so that it'll come down and I'll hold that wood in. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work yet, because I've never done anything like it, and I'm just kind of experimenting as I go. So that'll be good. This thing is really not that deep. It's only maybe 6 inches deep. So, but every inch counts, and if you can get some storage going, that's a good thing. So this is the other thing I've been working on here, is this drawer unit. And I built this, I don't know if you'd call it a case. And its purpose is mainly just to maximize the storage space. The reason why I bought this drawer unit is because it's the perfect width. It's not the perfect height, but I knew that I could just adjust the height myself by building something like this, and then I need some space at the top to put my bass guitar, which will go right on the top there and slide in nicely. And then I could just put some, either leave this open and put some sweaters in there or whatever, or I could put some wood down here for a shelf and make some doors or whatever, if I want to down the road. So that's cool. And how I've got this situated with the enclosure, well, not the enclosure, the way I open it and close it, is I just actually had, this is just a hacksaw blade. And it's just fixing these two, between these two hooks, and it keeps the wood piece in there. And for the bottom, I have a hook. I got some 1/2-inch plywood on the bottom of the drawer unit, and I put a hook in there. And then what I do is I have a long screw sticking out of the bottom. So what I do is, if I can do this one-handed, I put the screw in the hook, put the piece of wood between the two hooks up here, slide it in, and the teeth of the hacksaw blade, or jigsaw blade I should say, make it so it's actually a bit more friction, so it's less likely to come apart. And the reason I went with this, because it serves two purposes. Number one, my bass guitar on here won't slide out when I'm driving, so that's good, and it's a pretty simple system. And the other thing is, originally I had this idea of putting like wing nuts or something like that with a piece that would like be like a helicopter blade and spin, and I can spin it parallel to the ground, and then I'd be able to open the drawer, and then to close it I would just do that. But then this idea, I can just take this out once I'm parked, this piece of wood, and then I have access to all the drawers right away without a bunch of moving little wing nuts around. And I attached to the wall with these zip ties and hooks. The reason I did that is because if I need to access, what I did was down here, in a previous video I've shown this, is that's where the step well is, and I made a long storage area. It's where I put tools that I rarely use, like, you know, the jack for the, if I got a flat tire and I need to change a tire, I can access it down here, and a bunch of other tools and stuff I'm not going to use very often. So this piece of wood comes up and out. But what that means is I'm going to have access to that, and if I do need access, I can either just cut these off, or I was even thinking of just using some like paracord or twine or whatever, and I could just tie it on, and then that way I could just tie it back when I'm ready to go. So I would just cut these off, move the drawer unit out, access the bottom, then put it back, put some new zip ties on. It does move a little bit, but it's going to be fine because it's not going to fall over while I'm driving. I've already been driving for a week with it like this yet. And before I had the zip ties, I'd often come back here and the whole thing was fallen over. But so that should work well. And yeah, so I've been polyurethane, sanding and doing a lot of this kind of stuff right now. And I'm gonna do about 1 or 2 more coats and call it good enough. And I also have to finish the sink. I got a wet rag in here right now. I don't know if I had this in my last video or not. I drilled this hole. I gotta buy some kind of drain pipe in there. And under here is, I've decided what I'm going to do. These are the pieces that are going to go on here. I'm going to just have them come out like this. But what I can do under here, I've decided, is, since the propane hoses isn't as long as isn't as near as long as I thought it was going to be. I have a propane hose under here. Probably can't see it very well. I can just stick that in the corner down there, and I have that storage space I can use for like I can put some like gloves and toques and winter clothes in Ziploc baggies and stick them down there when I need them. Just pull them out. Those clothes are very yeah, you can squish them flat, take the air out, and that'll work well for that. Anyway, oh, and this is the other thing I did. I started to, this is where the stove is going to go right here. And this is the propane connection that's going to go on the end of the stove. So I had to cut that because pretty soon I'm going to put the finishing material is like laminate, I don't know, plasticky stuff. I don't know what you would call it. It's going to go on the top of the counter. So I wanted to put that hose in before I did that. Alright, well, I think I'm going to cut it short there since we're at 11 minutes and 20 seconds. And have to make a new video later on once I've progressed more. So take care and have yourself a good night.